Alrighty, hi. Well, before I get started, I just want to say thank you for all your prayers while I was in Honduras and before, and also thank you for giving so generously so that I could go on this trip. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so to start, I went to Honduras, and the trip was 9 days long, and we took 13 teens and 6 adults. And so we left from Indianapolis and flew to Miami, and then we left from Miami to Honduras. And so this was Monday, so this was us in the airport, and we ate at the airport in Miami, and there's a picture at the top of Kelsey. She has a piece of pizza that's about this big. It's about as big as her. It's kind of funny. And so that was part of Monday. So Monday was just at the airport and flying there. And then, so there's when we landed in Honduras. And there's some pictures of us at the airport, outside the airport. And then there's us in the bus driving to our hotel. And then there's money. So when we got to the airport, we exchanged our money. And so I gave them $100, and we got, their money is called Lempira. And so they're like, you can't tell, but there's 4 or 500 bills and 3 100 bills. And so that's what we did then. And then we drove to the hotel. So this is the hotel, and it was really nice. The funny thing about it was you can't really see it, but there were plastic animals outside of it, and it was really cool. And so that's the hotel. The hotel also there's some of the rooms at the bottom, and then we had our own kitchen, so we cooked all our own meals there most of the time. And we also, there was a pool. There's one of them. And then there's the other one, and the water was green. That was kind of gross, but it's okay. We still swam in it. And then they also had a mini soccer field. And so that first Monday that we were there, before we ate dinner, we were playing around because we knew we'd be playing soccer. And so we were trying to figure it out, and we were super loud. We were all screaming, and it was really fun. There's another picture of the soccer field. Okay. And then Tuesday, was when we started working. So our main goal this week was to build a soccer field at one of the Nazarene churches in San Petros in Honduras. And so so it was behind the church we built the soccer field, and the main purpose of the soccer field was so that they could keep the kids out of gangs, and they would preach the gospel to them while they were playing soccer, because a lot of people loved soccer. That's what they did there. And so here's inside the church that we built the soccer field at. And there's the pastor's house of this church was actually right behind the church, and that's his house. And then here's some of the work site that we worked at. And there's a dog that was there too. And so it was really, really hot there, and I've never sweat or drank so much water in my life. And so what our work was basically, I thought we were going to be laying turf, grass, and then painting lines. But no, we were moving dirt. We took barrels and would shovel dirt into it and move it and then rake it. And it was a lot of hard work. And so we did that the first day. And then after we did our first day of work, which was probably 6 hours of work, I'd say. And like at noon we ate lunch, and then after lunch we were like dead. We could not finish. It was so hot, and the sun was beating down on us. So after that, we went back to our hotel and just hang out, but we immediately went into the pool because we were so hot. And so the coolest thing I think about working there was that the kids that were at the site that we were working at, they were so like helpful. They just came and jumped in and like helped us, and it was so cool because they were just so willing to help, and it was cool. And then Wednesday, we did work again, and this time we decided that we'd go at like 6 o'clock instead of towards the afternoon so that we weren't fried and like really tired. So we woke up the next morning and went to work, and we had sore muscles and lots of bug bites, but we still worked, and everybody kept a positive attitude most of the time. And then I think it was this day that one of the little girls that was with us that week, her name was Stephanie, and she was talking to the other girls because we had 2 girls on our trip, one of them that could speak fluent Spanish and another one that could speak almost fluent. And so she hung out with us, and one time I was going into the church to get something to eat, and she followed me, and so they told us not to feed them, so I told her aquí, which means stay. I was like, aquí, stay out here. And she stayed there while I went and got food, and then she came back, and I was like, I think I just said hola, and she started like ranting on. I had no idea what she was saying, and I was like, see, yeah. And then she kind of left me because she knew I couldn't talk and went talking with some of the other girls. But yeah, going on this trip, I didn't know too much Spanish. I know a little bit, but I didn't know like any. And so that day was about the same. We just worked, then we went to the hotel, swam, and hang out. And so then this is just a few pictures throughout the week of us taking group pictures like in the vans and at the work site. And so Thursday was probably one of my favorite days. So we did work again the morning, but then after that we went to Brian's, one of the guys in Honduras that had a ministry. His name was Brian. And so before we went there, we got some limeade, so it's like lemonade but lime, and it tasted really cool. And they gave us like this bag, like a refill, and so that's what's on my head on that picture. I don't know, I was just being silly. And we stopped at a beach too, and we took some pictures there. But after that drive, we went to Brian's ministry, and basically what this was he gave us a tour of his place. And this place was where they teach the Hondurans English and like mechanics and sewing, and then they would have like Bible studies. And so we were there at one of the Bible studies. And some of our groups and some of the local Hondurans gave their testimonies. And it was really cool to hear some of our teens from our group's testimonies, because like you saw a part of them that you didn't know before, and you saw what God brought them out of, and it was really cool. But it was also super cool to hear the Hondurans' testimonies, and we all started crying while they were telling their testimonies. It was a really cool moment. And then one of the last testimonies, one of our girls, Jenny, gave her testimony, and she talked about the song Reckless Love and how it really helped her. And it was really cool because one of the Honduran guys got out and he went and got his guitar, and he knew Reckless Love. And so we were singing Reckless Love together in like Spanish and in English, and then he sang Holy Spirit, and it was really cool. And so that was that. And then this was one of Brian's daughters. Her name was Angie, and she was really cute. And that's me in Brooklyn too with Angie. And then this is a picture of when he got out his guitar and started singing and playing. And then we have Friday. And Friday was just more work. So these are just group pictures that we took. But it was, that day, I think it was this day, it was funny because the Hondurans that were helping us with the soccer field building it would like laugh at us because we weren't like strong enough to do it. And so there was one point where some of us were like doing some concrete with like the shovels and like making concrete, and we weren't going fast enough, and so the concrete was starting to harden. And so they were just laughing at us, and it was really funny. And that night also at devotions, I was so inspired from yesterday's when they shared their testimonies that I shared my testimony along with another friend of mine that night. And down there at the bottom, it looks like she's hitting her, but she's really not. They snapped a picture like at the right time, and it looks like she's hitting her, but she's not. We didn't fight, I promise. Okay, and then Saturday is when we kind of finished up our work. We did a final layer of dirt, and it was a pretty easy day of work. But after that, we went like on a fun trip to Morazan, and it was a waterfall. But they didn't tell us that we were going to a waterfall. They just said, you need to wear your bathing suits, and we didn't know where we were going. So it was really cool to figure out where we were going. So this is on the car ride there. We were just making funny faces. Oh, this was at one of the days, I forget which one it was. All the days kind of jumbled up. But one of the days at the work site, one of the men brought us, like, it looked like a worm. I thought it was a worm. But it was actually a baby snake. And they said it was dead, but I was holding it, taking a picture, and it moved. And so that was my face once it started moving. It kind of freaked me out. But it was dead, and it was a baby, so it couldn't hurt me. Okay, and then Saturday was when we went to the waterfall. So here's some pictures from that. So, well, before we went to the waterfall, we did the final layer of dirt. And so this is some of the pictures of what it looked like that day, because they had the net up now. And there it is. It's just how they had the field was just dirt and fencing on the outside, and we didn't have like a net to go over the top because eventually they will have that, but we didn't have it when we left. And so after that, we went on the waterfall, and it was funny because the roads were so like windy, and it was like a roller coaster. Like we were screaming, like our stomachs were going up and down. That's how the roads were. And on the way there, we saw some horses just in the road, and some cows. And that's some of the scenery on the way to, because we went up in the mountains, so you can kind of see the mountains. And then here's some pictures from the waterfall. We climbed some trees. I was the only adventurous girl. Nobody else like went off and did stuff. I climbed the trees. I jumped on the rocks and everything, where all the other girls just like sat around. No, I was going for it. And on our way back, we got lost, a group of us. So they told us that we need to take this path, but apparently I took the wrong path. I was kind of leading them, and so I took the wrong path, and we end up at this gate, and it's like locked, and we're like, okay, what are we supposed to do? So we start yelling. We're yelling for Jason. We're like, Jason! And like he hears us finally, and he's like, just stay there, we'll come and get you. And Jenny's over here like freaking out. And so he comes and finds us, and they're all laughing, and they're like taking pictures of us on the side of the road, or dirt road, and we finally got back, and it was funny. After that, I don't have any pictures, but after the waterfall, we went to a local Nazarene church and played soccer with the youth group, but I don't have any pictures with that, and they were really good. I mean, I guess anybody in Honduras is good, but they were really good, and we never beat them. Okay, and then Sunday was definitely my favorite day. So we started out by shopping. We had like an hour to shop, and here's a picture of us on the drive to the shopping. So I got 3 machetes. They're not all for me. I got one for me, one for Matthew, and one for Marissa. And I got a doll and some bracelets, and it was really cool. They engraved our names in the bracelets. And I also got some bowls. Funny story, when I got home, the bowls were from my mom. When I got home, I was giving out like their gifts, and I like looked at it, and it was broken in like 3 pieces. I was like, here you go, Mom. But she fixed it and glued it, and it's the big one right there. But if you come up and see, it's got cracks in it. And I also got a hammock, but I didn't bring that, but that's for Dad. So after we went shopping, we went to a Nazarene church service up there. And so here's a picture of outside of the church. And it was really cool there. They just had so much joy, and it was really small, but they had a lot of joy. And when their worship service, we didn't know what they were saying because they were singing in Spanish. I didn't know like any of the songs until like they started singing "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord," and I was like, oh, I know this one, so I sang it. And then like they shocked us all and started singing in English too, and I was like, whoa, okay. So that was really cool. And they had an interpreter for the sermon, so like someone would speak Spanish and then they would speak English for us. And it was really hard to focus, but one thing that I remember is that the pastor said, Jesus is our best friend. And that really spoke to me, and I felt like God was trying to tell me that it's okay if you don't always have your friends with you here on earth, because I'm your best friend and you have to depend on me. And that was one of my favorite parts, because that was what I needed to hear, and it was really good. And here is a picture of Christy Bose. She was filming us while we were like singing, and then we just thought it was funny, so we snapped a picture of her doing that. And then there's us in the van driving to go eat after church. And we went to like this chicken place. It's kind of like a Chick-fil-A, I'd say, but it was good. So that's us at lunch. And then after that, after we went shopping and went to church, we went back to our soccer field that we had finished the other day. And this is their church that we had been working at. And they were, Michael Elliott actually got up and preached a little sermon to them, and somebody interpreted to him. And after that, we gave out the shoe that grows. So the shoe that grows is a shoe that grows, basically 5 sizes. So a kid could have the shoe and could keep it for like however long 5 sizes would serve for them. And we got to pass those out. And after that, we handed out like candy, like there was a piñata, and so the kids, once that piñata opened, they just flooded, and then we just started throwing candy out and like some little toys and stuff, and they loved it. And then after that, there was this little girl, and I was like trying to talk to her, I didn't know like anything, but I was trying to talk to her, and her mom came up and took a picture of us together, so I took a picture with her. I don't remember what her name was, because I tried to ask her, but I don't think we really communicated. And then there was another girl. She was actually my age, and she kept coming up, and she was like, photo, photo? I'm like, okay. So she was taking pictures of us on her phone, and so I took pictures with her, and she was really sweet, and she was just going up to everybody asking for pictures. And then here's more group pictures of us together at the church. The boy down there on the right, his name is Luis. He was with us all week while we were building the soccer field, and he helped us a lot. And there's the girl again. I don't remember her name. I asked her. I know it starts with a Z, but I could not understand what she was saying. And then we actually got to play on the soccer field that we built. So here's a picture of us playing. And the one girl that was my age, she wanted to be on my team, and that really meant a lot to me because it was really cool. And I have never had so much fun. I mean, we had like dirt flying in our eyes since it was like a dirt, laid with dirt. But it was a lot of fun. And the kids were, Foster is one of the boys that was on our team, and they really bonded with all the boys, because mainly all the kids that were there were boys, and so the little boys bonded with all of our boys. And so they were like yelling, Foster, 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 aquí, aquí. It was the cutest thing ever. And so they had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then after we played soccer, it was time to say goodbye, and that was really sad. So we took a group picture together, and we all like just started crying after that, and we were like saying our goodbyes, and then we took some more pictures with the kids, and the guy that's with us in that picture, his name is Carlos, and he was actually crying. That was really sweet. Like, we didn't think they would be emotional, but they were, and we were all just crying. And then after that, we went to our vans and said our goodbyes, and then we prayed over the pastor, and it was such a powerful moment. Everybody was just praying out loud, and we all were laying hands on each other, and it was really amazing. And so the next day was a fun day, Monday. So we were supposed to go to the beach this day. But while we were there, there was rioting going on because, like, gas prices went up, and so everybody was rioting public transportation. And so we had an experience of that. Like, I didn't experience anything scary, but this was the scariest thing that happened in the week, and it wasn't too bad, but it freaked us out. So here's a picture of the police while we were driving. There were people just all over the roads, all over the roads. They were like shouting. They had like sticks and like fireworks were going off and everything. And here's another picture of all the people. And there's a picture of us, but here's another picture of all the people. And since we were in vans, they thought we were public transportation. So they came up, and Christy was trying to lock the door before they got in, but they opened our van door and were like yelling at us, and we were like, what are we supposed to do? And Jason over here is like, leave them alone, they're gringos, and they're gringo tourists. And so once they heard that we were tourists and Americans, they left us alone. But it was kind of scary. So since we couldn't go to the beach because of all of that, we ended up going to a zip line, which was really cool. But we were really delayed because we got stuck in all the rioting we sat in the van for like an hour. It was a long time. So when we finally got there, we ate lunch. So that's a picture of us while we're there at the zip line. And it was 8 zip lines, and we also played in the river too. And so here's us playing in the river with some of my friends. There's more pictures of us. And there's a whole group picture. And there's us on the zip line. But here's a picture of what we got. There's us at one of the zip line spots. We were pretty high up. And then there's what we ziplined over. You can kind of see the zip line, but we ziplined over that waterfall, and it was so pretty. And like there was a rainbow at the end of the waterfall. It was really pretty. And one of our friends, she went across the zip line, and like she met us on the other side, and we were like, "Wasn't that so cool, Audrey?" And she's like, "No, I had my eyes closed the whole time." I was like, "You didn't even look at the waterfall?" But yeah. And then my other friend, she got across the waterfall, and she told us that one of the guys went like that to her shoulder. They said that she had a tarantula on her shoulder. And I was like, oh my goodness, that would have been scary. And then there's us at the waterfall as a group picture after we had zip lined. And then that night, we all prayed over each other, and it was a really cool time. We all just reflected over what had happened that week and what God had done for us and everything. And it was really cool time to pray for each other. And then here is when we were leaving. So this is while we were in the airport. So we're just taking pictures together since it was sad that we were leaving. And then we got bored, so I sat on my suitcase. And then some of us fell asleep. And then I took a picture with Jason, which was our leader. He lived in Honduras, I'm pretty sure. And so we all took pictures with him. And then there's more pictures of us. And the group picture. And another group picture. And then there's our last group picture that we were at our hotel. So some things that I forgot to say. What was really interesting about staying there and like the differences at like the hotel, I say it was definitely a blessing from God that we got to stay at the hotel, because if we would have stayed at the campgrounds, we would have been way too hot because there was no air conditioning. After working like 6 hours outside in the hot and going back to no air conditioning, we wouldn't have been able to live. So it was a blessing that we got to be in an air conditioning hotel. But the thing to adjust to was like cold showers. That wasn't that bad because we were already super hot, so we were okay with that. But we weren't allowed to flush the toilet paper down the toilet. That was interesting because like their pipes were weak or whatever. And also at the hotel, they didn't give you a comforter, they only gave you a sheet. And so I'm guessing it's because it's so hot there, so they don't need it, but we turned our air conditioning up, so in the middle of the night, I got pretty cold, and I didn't bring any like sweatpants or anything, I just had shorts, so I got cold. And let me think. There's another funny story about me and my soccer skills. So I've never played soccer till I went to Honduras, and probably won't ever do it professionally or anything because I was not that good. There was one point, so in our hotel there was like an alley, and so we were like really the only ones there, so we played soccer late at night. And so we were playing, and someone passed me the ball, and I went to kick it, and my foot just went right over the ball, and I fell into our van. Yeah, everybody was laughing at me. I was like, oops. And then one of the nights we were eating, there was this cat, and it tried to come and eat our food. We kept having to scare it away. That was exciting. I think that's all. That's all. Oh, I have a video. It was of the whole week us building the soccer field like in fast mode. So it's called like how to build a soccer field in like 2 minutes. It's really cool.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. You have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99. I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah.
That was the soccer field once it was built and what it looked like. And I also say that it was kind of frustrating. Like every day we'd go and like work and move more dirt, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's not level over here," when we thought we leveled it the other day, and so we had to keep moving it back and forth and all this kind of stuff. Oh, and then also basketball shorts. All the girls had to wear basketball shorts, and I wasn't like, I don't like basketball shorts, and so I wasn't too excited about that, but I discovered they're actually quite comfy. I don't think I'll wear them in public, but I might start wearing them around the house. They were pretty comfortable. So is there any questions? On the edges, there was kind of like a slope, so we just like had like cement blocks all around it, and then we filled it in with cement also, so that the dirt wouldn't like slide. That was another reason we didn't put turf down, because they said when it rained, all like the beads that are in the turf would just like come off the edge because of where it was. So we did that so that the dirt wouldn't move and that it would stay in place. No, I did not. We didn't see too many like animals. There was one spider that we saw, a few spiders, but they weren't that bad. But I heard the story. I wasn't in the van. I heard the story of they were in the van, and there was a little spider about this big. And so they showed us the video. The girls were screaming. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's a tarantula!" And it was this big. I'm not kidding. I'm like, seriously, girls? And then there was once a gecko in the bathroom. That I wasn't too scared, but it freaked me out at first. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, we didn't experience too many like spiders and stuff like that. No, I did not see any chameleons. That would have been cool though. Yeah, they can be creepy. Those are so fast. Oh, yeah. No, he said he had relatives there, but we didn't see them. Well, we bought a lot of our food from there, but we cooked our own meals, so I'd say yes. But they had fresh fruit all the time. Like, we'd be driving down the roads, and they'll be selling, like, pineapples and bananas or plantains. I don't know which. We had, like, bananas, and I thought they were bananas, but somebody else told me they were plantains. I don't know which. But we did have one Honduran meal the night that we all went and, like, heard the Hondurans' testimonies. Brian's wife made us a Honduran meal, and it was like homemade tortillas and refried beans and chicken and avocado, and it was really good. And I put hot sauce on mine. It was really good. But that was the only like Honduran meal that we actually had. But their food, I think, is about the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there was one guy that actually worked at the site with us, and I don't remember if he was like in his 20s or is he teen. You could never tell anybody's age there. Like, you might think they're 20s, but they're actually 13. But anyway, he told us that he did not go to church, and like the last day he was actually at church and he had his Bible and everything, and it was really cool that we made an impact on him, that he would go to church after we would have been there. Um, No, I guess I can if you want me to. What do you think? Okay, sure. Well, so grew up in the church, as you know. My dad's a pastor, but a big part of it is my adoption. It means a lot to me because if I wouldn't have been adopted, I wouldn't have probably been a Christian at all. So it's like God chose me to be in this family, and that He has a purpose for me, and it means a lot to me. And so let's start with that. But I went through a period of my life. It was I struggled with an eating disorder. It lasted for about 2 years, and after that, I went through depression too with losing some of my friends. I thought my identity was wrapped up in them, and so after that, I just like had to depend on the Lord, and didn't know what to do, so I just knew I had to go to Jesus, and so I started reading my Bible more and doing my devotions and depending on Him and praying, and He got me through my depression and anxiety, and like I had really bad anxiety and fear, and now I'm like not that afraid anymore at all, or else I would never gone on this trip probably at all because I was a scaredy cat. So God brought me out of that. Yes. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone else have any questions? I really liked when I saw while we were working all of the kids and everything and everybody, they don't have technology really. I mean, they do, but they don't have phones like we do today. They just seem more connected, and like they were all just like in the community, they were all just like best friends. They were always together playing, and these kids, they didn't have like many toys, they didn't have phones or anything, but they were having so much fun and they seemed so happy. And I was like, we are like, me personally, I was like, I need to spend less time on my phone probably, because I learned that. And also the whole thing about Jesus being my best friend and how I need to depend on Him even when my friends aren't with me. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay, so that one girl that I showed you a picture of, that I forgot her name, but it starts with a Z. So before we left, she gave me her bracelet. I think it might be her initials because it's a ZM and on the back it's an MS, but it was really cool because she just gave me her bracelet out of the blue. She's like, here you go. I'm like, that is so sweet, and I'm not sure what the lettering means, but I've been wearing it ever since. It's really cool. And so I didn't have anything to give her. I had this bracelet, but I didn't have it with me. I wanted to give it to her since it had my name on it, but I didn't have it with me. All I had was a bug band, and so I had to give her my bug band. But one of our leaders, Christy Bowe, said that they wouldn't have cared. It's just that you gave them something. And so I gave her my bug band, but that meant a lot to me that she gave me her bracelet. Oh, thank you.
I was quite impressed.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing your testimony. You never know what a testimony of anybody's will do for somebody else. So give her a hand, guys. I think I'm going to turn it over to Pastor, and I think we've got some anointing and stuff. Does anybody have a testimony why Pastor comes up? They want to share? No? Okay.
So I'm kind of wrap up the service tonight by calling Larry Morrison to come down front. Larry has talked to me a couple days ago, and still dealing with some effects of the stroke, and still having some health problems with the heart and rhythm and everything that goes into that. And he's asked to be anointed tonight. And so I want to ask him to come to the front, and as many of you as possible that can make your way down and think in the atmosphere and mood and setting that we're in tonight, that this would be just a perfect time to gather around as a church family and to share in that bond of love and unity, and to lift Larry up to the throne of grace tonight. You know, the Bible tells us that the prayer of a righteous man availeth much, and if there's a sick person among you, that you should call the elders together and anoint with oil and pray, and that prayer will be heard, and that God responds and moves. And so tonight we kind of just want to wrap up by doing that. And so Larry, if you just come on down here to the center, and as many of you as possible tonight, if you'll just come and gather around and lay hands on each other, and in a very godly way, we'll lay hands on Larry tonight, and we'll lift him up to the throne tonight. Heavenly Father, we know that you are the great physician. We know that nothing is too hard for you. We know that nothing is impossible. Lord, you created us. You knit us together before the foundations of this world were put into place. You had us on your mind and on our heart, in your heart. And so, Lord, you know everything tonight that's going on with Larry. You know everything that's going on with his body, his vision, his heart. So, Lord, in this moment, we pause to lift him up to you. We pray, Jesus, that you will bring healing to his body. We pray that you will be with his heart and the heart rate. And, Lord, that you will bring everything into rhythm, and everything will fall into place and be where it needs to be. We pray for his vision and his eyesight tonight. Lord, you know the complications that he's experiencing from the stroke. And, Lord, tonight we just lift him up to you. And, Lord, we follow the biblical mandate that you've given to us. We gather around him. We lay our hands on him. And tonight, Lord, we anoint him with oil. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we lift him up to you, Jesus, and we pray that you would heal him tonight. We pray in the strong and mighty name of Jesus that you, as the great physician, would reach into his life. And, Lord, that you would reverse every effect and every ailment that he's facing and experiencing. And, Lord, that you would touch him and make him whole. Lord, we know that you can do it. Lord, we pray this prayer in faith. We believe it with all of our hearts tonight. And Lord, we just hold fast to the promises we find in Scripture and in your word. And so, Lord, we command it today. We believe today that you will heal him and touch him. We pray in the strong and mighty name of Jesus that healing will come to his body. I pray for Bev and the other family members. I pray you continue to give them strength. Lord, I pray that you will give Bev the strength that she needs as she cares and Lord, transports Larry and everything that goes with that. Lord, I pray that you would give her an extra measure of your grace. And Lord, I pray that she will sense and feel your presence as well. Lord, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for everything that you're going to do. We again say, touch them and heal them. We ask it in Jesus' name tonight. Amen. walking with you. And Lord, that it's a burden on our heart, that weighs on our mind, it concerns us. And Father, we just pause tonight to lift up our prodigals to you. Lord, you know every single one of them by name. You know where they're at, you know what they're doing. And Lord, tonight we just pray that you would get a hold of their hearts. We pray tonight that you would touch their lives. Lord, that a spirit of conviction would fall upon them. We pray that you would draw them to you, that you would open their minds and their hearts and their eyes to the reality of how much you love them and how much you desire to be in a right relationship with them. We pray that you would bring them back. And Lord, we pray today that you would just get a hold of them in such a way that they would no longer be able to resist it, no longer be able to turn away or run or flee, but Lord, that they would be drawn back to you. And Lord, that they would find it easy to invite you into their hearts and into their lives. And Lord, that they would experience the grace and mercy and transformation that comes from knowing you. We pray, Lord, that you'll help us to be faithful, to continually pray and lift them up to you. And Lord, may we just not relent in our desires and our prayers to see them come to know you. Bless them, bless our families. And Lord, we just pray that someday soon we'll be able to celebrate these lives coming back to you. We ask it now in Jesus' name. Amen. We got about 5 minutes. Where's Jarrett? Pastor Jarrett. Did he leave? You got a song somewhere?
I can turn one open.
Turn one open. He's going to just put his finger in wherever it falls. That's what we're going to sing. I hope Debbie knows it. Where's Debbie? She's gone? Well, if our piano player's gone, then we're done. Everybody stand up. That's okay. It's too late. It's like the rapture. If you miss it, it's over. Is she coming? She's running. Don't leave yet. We're not officially done. I haven't said you can go. When you're the pastor, you can hold the people. What are we singing?
Number 682.
682.
Bond of Love.
There we go. Thank you for being here tonight. Shake hands with a half a dozen people and you're free to go.